Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome to my 2023 year ahead tarot and Akashic reading. This is my fourth year in a row doing these readings, and I absolutely love doing them. I'm really excited to share with you what has come through for the year of 2023. And thank you so much for being here. If you have happened to have stumbled upon this without knowing who I am, my name is Amy Belair. I am a mother, an artist, a former registered midwife, currently a spiritual midwife of the soul, helping others navigate the liminal spaces of their own journeys through the universe and spiritual awakening. I'm the host of the Third Eye Awakening podcast, co-author and original creator of the Priestess Transmission, and a bajillion other things. Do Akashic readings, host a bunch of courses, blah, 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 blah. If you're interested, you can find out more information on my website, amybelair.com. But otherwise, let's get into the reading for this year. So I love to start these readings with the overall flavor of the year. And I'm not going to lie, when I was preparing for this reading, I was a little bit afraid that the flavor of the year was going to be something like the Tower. But it's not actually. It's a really, really, really beautiful card. So the flavor that it's going to color our entire experience of 2023 is the 10 of Cups. And I should pause first and say that I have come to understand over the course of the past year that when I do energy reports or readings like this, or any of the transmissions basically that I am giving, I say that they are for the collective, but I don't believe that it is for everybody. I believe that I'm here speaking to a very specific subset of the collective, a very small percentage, like micro percentage, like less than a percentage of the souls and currently incarnated here on earth experiencing the crazy carnival ride that is life on earth right now. And so as I'm talking about like any of these cards, but in particular right now, the flavor of the year, just understand that I'm not using these cards to predict global events because in a sense, that's neither here nor there, at least to the people that I'm really here speaking to. The intention of this reading is to give us sort of guidance for how to navigate whatever actually does come up. So I'm not really working in the realm of prediction. I'm working in the realm of like the thing that can help us maximize the good seasons and get through the challenging seasons of 2023. Okay, so the 10 of Cups is such a beautiful card. When I turned this, I was so happy, so excited. So the 10 of Cups is about emotional fulfillment. It's like, I mean, okay, so the cups is the realm of emotions, empathicness, emotional connection, psychic abilities. It's like the things that we actually want to experience. Meaning, like, when we think of in terms of manifestation, like the 10 of Pentacles would be getting the thing, getting the object, getting the promotion, getting the new car, getting the new relationship. It would be the physical manifestation of the thing. But really, the 10 of Cups is talking about the emotional fulfillment that comes with or without the manifestation. Like sometimes we experience the emotional fulfillment without even needing the physical manifestation of the thing. So ultimately, what this means is that our journey through the entirety of 2023 is going to be experienced through the lens of this emotional fulfillment. And I mean, I've already kind of been there in the last 6 weeks of 2022 in this space of feeling like, shit, man, I'm not really wanting for anything. Like, sure, there are a couple things on my list that would be like, wouldn't it be cool if I had this? Or like, oh, I guess I kind of can make the case that I need a new coat because I don't have a coat for like a certain kind of weather. But that's not really like wanting something. It's, I feel in my life for the first time ever, like I'm in this space where I'm like, I've got it. Like I'm good. And it's not really about the the things that I have. Um, it's more like I found the fulfillment within the things that I have. Like you can see in my background, I mean, my house is still super messy. I just moved into a new house. It's a rental that we moved into a year ago. I have an 18-month-old and a 4.5-year-old. I haven't gotten around to unpacking everything. It's a very middle class life. And it's beautiful and it's very specifically curated to me. And I feel very, very emotionally fulfilled. There isn't any area that I'm like trying to fix or work on or call this in or call that in. And what a wonderful blessing. Definitely not saying this to brag. I'm more using this to try and articulate what this 10 of cups is about. For all of you who resonate with this reading and who find yourselves here listening to me, this reading is for you. And I believe that 2023, if you're not already experiencing this, is going to become this. Like that is what this year is. It basically feels like a mm, I'm going to say unattachment because detachment doesn't feel right, quite right. An unattachment from the need for things to physically manifest. And I know Abraham Hicks has talked about this for ages, so this isn't a new thought or a new concept. This is just what is coming for us this year is basically an ability to separate ourselves from the attachment that something manifests in a specific way or something goes down in a specific way or comes into our life in a specific way. It's like releasing a need to like micromanage and control life and control the universe, and an ability to find the emotional fulfillment even when you can't tick every single box on your manifestation list. um, it's basically like a spiritual upgrade. It's a spiritual maturity. The 10 of cups is the final card in the suit of cups. So it's basically like we've come to the culmination point within this realm of like wanting things so that we feel a certain way. We've gotten to this point where we feel all the joy, all the emotional fulfillment independently of whether we have the things or not. And that doesn't mean that we can't have the things. It's just, it's like we become self sourcing. And in that is a ton of freedom. And it really changes the game for us in terms of being conscious creators. I despise that so many of the terms that I want to use to explain this information comes through kind of overused buzz terms because I feel like the essence of what I'm saying gets lost. But we are very, very, very powerful creator beings. I personally believe that's what it means when it is said that we were made in the image of God. Perhaps we look like God looks. Perhaps God is a humanoid being. Who am I to say? I don't know. But I feel like for me, what resonates as being true is that God is a creator. God has the ability to create. And when God created us, God imbued us with the ability to create as well. And that is what is meant by being made in God's image. And I feel like so much of what we're experiencing and we have been experiencing for a long time, like really kicked into high gear, so to speak, in 2020, is this journey of emancipating ourselves from the trappings of the false matrix and a level of engineered unconsciousness that keeps us from actualizing that creatorship that we have and truly experiencing what we are capable of, what we can create here. We are encouraged to be cogs in a wheel of a bigger creation that is not sustainable or healthy or in service to us or, freedom, sovereignty, creation, God, anything. It's quite a dark false matrix, which if you've listened to me before, you know how dark I think it is. Um, and we have been encouraged to just play our part in the maintenance of that system while it looshes off our creative energy. And I feel like we're in this process of undergoing a powerful emancipation from the bullshit of the false matrix system and a reclamation of that creator energy so that it's no longer being siphoned off of us to maintain creations that don't benefit us, that keep us unhealthy, that keep us feeling enslaved, and do not actually like reflect the glory of God, the glory of creation, the glory of this universe, but rather maintain a false matrix, soul recycling prison system. And so we are reclaiming that so that we can create freely and to our highest capacity. And so that, even though that's not really what the 10 of cups is talking about, that is like, as I went through this whole entire year, all the cards, that was the feeling that I came away with. It's like, oh, the good periods of this year, the hard periods of this year, and indeed the past handful of years have all been necessary steps on this journey to emancipate ourselves from a damaged system, um, a damaged ideology. Like, it's so beyond the 3D systems that we operate in. It is a multidimensionally maintained system of soul entrapment and consciousness entrapment, to emancipate ourselves from that and to move into alignment with God and our creatorship, and to be able to create in the ways that we were created to create. Okay. So the 10 of cups is this like emotional fulfillment. And ultimately what I think it is, again, is like the realization, this is our journey for this year, is the realization that the things that we think that we need in order to live an optimized life and enter into this level of joy and emotional fulfillment, we realize that they are not only unnecessary, but they are warped. Our perceptions of what we think we want are warped by social media, entertainment media, news media, all the forms of conditioning that we are constantly bombarded with and subjected to at like literally all hours of the night and day. And that gives us weird ideas of what we think we should want. And I believe that through the course of this year, we're going to essentially have this experience where we're like, oh, I don't really even want that. I don't even need that. And that will clear the way for us to experience that emotional fulfillment. And as we experience that like maximum peak level of emotional fulfillment, from there, we are able to birth creations, like manifestations, to use that jargon, like physically, like timelines that physically play out for us, that feel like a true representation of what we actually are capable of creating. And it's very exciting. I'm very excited. Okay. So the next card that I pulled is, what did we master? Like, what did we complete? What lesson did we complete in 2022 that we no longer need to carry forward? And the card that I pulled is the Six of Cups. Now, I feel like this is so true. Traditionally, the Six of Cups is talking about a nostalgia. Looking back, it's usually like fond nostalgia. but whatever. It doesn't have to be. But it's like looking back in a sentimental way on our past and, perhaps feeling like, again, an attachment to it. And so I feel like in 2022, ultimately, what we were able to complete was this process of acknowledging the sentimental ties that we have to a version of the past that is no longer available to us moving forward. And I'm not trying to talk about all of this in like a doomsday way. Like we all know most of the people in my world are like up on conspiracies. If you don't believe in any of that, you've probably made your way out of my world by now. But like I definitely perceive that there is a controlled demolition that is happening of a way of life that for those of us in the Western hemisphere anyway, has included a lot of pleasures and joys, even if they might not have been good for us. So that could be, for example, like eating hot dogs and drinking beer, like barbecuing hot dogs and drinking beer and listening to, classic rock with your buddies in the backyard. Eating hot dogs and drinking beer, probably not good for us, right? But there is like a sentimental attachment to that. And over the past 3 years, we've really wanted to try and maintain that to some degree or another. Like I sure have. I absolutely have. There are things that I like just wanted to hold on to, and I want to be able to keep doing them. And it's not so much like this message around the Six of Cups isn't so much saying that we can't hold on to it, or sorry, that it can never happen again. That's what I actually mean. It's not so much that it can never happen again. It's more saying that we cannot um, measure our happiness in accordance with that anymore. Like we have to just let it go. I we're not identifying with any of it anymore. I've heard people talk recently over the holidays about like how it seemed like we used to live in a simpler time, or people just wanting to hold on to the simplicity of those joys, and those joys were kind of like they were real joys, but they also were sort of naive joys, um, and they were like tiny breadcrumbs of the actual joy that we get to feel, that we're designed and created to feel, that this world was created to yield to us in a beautiful fluid dance of honor and reverence and co-creation um, and respect. The things that we kind of want to hold on to from the past are, yeah, they're like breadcrumb versions of that, or like cookie crumbs, rather than the whole like delicious fresh baked cookie. And I really feel that in 2022, collectively, and this is not going to be true for every individual, but that's why I started this reading saying that this message is not for every individual. Collectively, those of us who are on this kind of awakening path, whatever we want to call it, um, we have released our attachment to those perceived joys of the past. We've just let it go successfessfully, so that, if we can still experience those joys, great, but we no longer feel like we need to live our lives through those old ways of understanding life and understanding ourselves, through those old sentimental kind of memories of bygone days. And then the card that I pulled for what we are currently still in the process of mastering. So this is not a necessarily a brand new lesson. This is something that we have been, in the process of, but it's not finished. It's kind of at its peak right now of what we're working on. It's the Four of Cups. So again, we've had 3 cups cards so far. This is very much, this year overall energetically is I mean, in Chinese astrology, it's the year of the water rabbit. I don't know what that means. I'm not an astrologer, period. Never mind a Chinese astrologer, but I just find it interesting that so far this has been 3 cups cards, and the flavor of this year is going to be very much about emotional mastery and psychic mastery, as it um, contributes to influences and is part of our creatorship. So the 4 of Cups is about learning to be, as I said with the 10 of Cups, it's like learning to be unfulfilled technically and be okay with that. So what I mean is like, I mean, I think the art on this card is so beautiful. There's this chick and she's just, sitting and meditating and chilling out, finding inner serenity, and she's surrounded by 4 cups. And those 4 cups are full, but it's not 10 cups, it's 4. It's not even halfway full. And the guidance around it is to basically not see it from a half a, a glass half empty perspective, and be a spoiled entitled brat and bitch and moan about the cups that we don't have present and full around us, the things that we don't have. It's like being with the 4 full cups that we have, being with the fulfillment that we have like currently in our lives right now, and being in, it's going to sound so cheesy and so typical, but being in gratitude and appreciation for it, but not like a fake gratitude, but like it's just such a deep faith in the creator and in our own creatorship and in the benevolence of this beautiful, I call it a holographic dream projection organic simulation that we are in, that it's like trusting that within the organic simulation, the algorithm of the organic simulation must yield to you what you um, what you create within your own field. What you create within your own field, like when Abraham Hicks is talking, they're using the terms vibration. I really like Jason Brashears of Archaics. He called it an informed field. When I heard that, I was like, "Ooh, that's good." So we all have this field. We all have a unique reality. Like your reality belongs only to you. Nobody else is even in that reality. I'm not saying nobody else is real. They are real and they have their own reality. And you aren't even in that reality. Like they are interacting with you, but they are the king or the queen or whatever, the ruler of, the steward of that reality stream. You have a reality stream. And in the 4 of Cups, you are counting your blessings. You are intentionally releasing the false matrix programming that we receive, which you better believe it's thick, okay? We receive so much programming to be entitled AF and to be always waiting for the next thing. Like, I mean, we just got through the holidays. You see the way that it affects children, right? When they get so many presents and we all participate in it, we're just always giving them presents and they get so many presents. And at a certain point, they open the present and they're like, wow. And then they throw it away and they're like, next. It's not because they're brats, it's because they're being trained to respond to life in that way. And we have been trained to respond to life in that way. And we are trained to feel entitled. We are trained to feel comparisonitis. We are trained to feel like to constantly be seeking instant gratification, especially with the internet and technology and the way that that is shortened, like you can find things at your fingertips. You can call somebody and connect with them like instantly, theoretically, right? So the Four of Cups is like we are learning how to acknowledge that we've been programmed to be entitled spoiled brats, and we are intentionally cultivating a deep profound faith in first of all a deep appreciation for all of the blessings that we already have and counting those blessings in our, like as represented by those four cups. And we are also cultivating a deep faith that we will get all 10 cups. It will happen. And it'll happen better than our anxiety filled ego minds could possibly, contrive. Yeah, it's just like, it's again, it's deepening into that creatorship, deepening into the relationship with the creator and the relationship with the creation and into the relationship of ourselves as being bestowed the gift of creatorship by our creator. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And the other thing about the Four of Cups, though, that I feel like we're really being called to master is to avoid the temptation to recognize and yeah, avoid acting on the temptation to fill those other cups out of the space of fear. So to fill them with something just so that they're not empty. So a perfect example is like when you know, you want a relationship, you want to have a plus one, you want to say you're in a relationship. And it would be like the choice to just get into a relationship with somebody who's good enough rather than like, an amazing ideal match for you and just tolerating a good enough just so that space is filled. And it doesn't even have to necessarily be a fear of being alone. It can simply be a fear, a low key, very subtle fear that the thing that you want isn't going to come if you just wait. So you need to like make it happen. You know what I mean? And mistaking making it happen, like there, we do have to participate in creatorship. A creatorship is an active thing. But that's where you would like inform your field with what you want and then deeply trust and know that it absolutely 100% will manifest if you just let it and if you leave the space for it. So it's like you're still doing something. What you're doing is energetically feathering your nest, that space that is created for that thing to come in. You are preparing yourself to be able to handle receiving it when it comes, so you don't like lose your shit and then self-sabotage and push it away. So in the example of a relationship, it would be like, you know, deeply loving yourself, like like creating practices of deepening your relationship with yourself and self-care and stuff so that when you meet the person, you don't just completely dissolve and disappear into their lives, right? You have a good solid thing going for yourself. It's that kind of stuff. Energetically feathering your nest, but not artificially filling it with something because you're afraid that the thing that you actually want isn't going to come. That's a big that's a big thing to master, and that's what we're working on. So we will all this year probably be faced with scenarios wherein we feel like it's so close, but we kind of like, oh, at the last minute we kind of feel like we need to reach out and grab it and make it be here. And we're going to be cultivating ideally the serenity to let it come in as it in the greatest highest perfection, which leads beautifully into the card of the new lesson that we are mastering, and it is our first major arcana card. It is the Hanged Man. So it is the perfect, like, I remember when I turned this over, I was like, how much more perfect could this be? Because the Hanged Man is about that serenity in surrender. It's like, look at the art on this card. This being is in suspension. So the hanged man isn't like hanged like from a hangman's noose where you're dying. The hanged man is like waiting for the other shoe to drop, um, knowing that there is something that has to come, something that has to happen. Like it's like uh, the gestating, like pregnancy, like that it is going to come to a point, like the baby is going to be born, but it's not being born yet. And at the end of pregnancy, you're kind of losing your mind a little bit and you're like, oh, I'm so uncomfortable. I'm like, when is this baby coming? And you can't make any plans because um, you could go into labor at any time, right? It's that feeling like I'm in suspense. It's an uncomfortable place to be. But finding grace in it and total surrender. And like, I just do not need to control this process at all. And this major arcana card means that it is like a big, 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 fat effing deal. This is a huge, important energy, a huge, huge piece of our creatorship and the restoration of our original divine blueprint, the template with we were originally created. Um, we've gotten so separated from it, so burdened with trauma and density and illusion. And we have to release that trauma, density, and illusion and allow ourselves to relearn the lessons of um, the mastery behind that creatorship. So the ability to let the process be in process without needing to control it, without needing to know like when it is done and what it's going to look like and how it's going to happen. All of that is absolutely necessary for us to be in our creatorship, because at its core, that desire to control everything really betrays um, a state of fear that is based on a lack of trust. And again, like, I'm not faulting anybody for feeling that way. We have been heavily programmed to to not be able to trust, right? To like, there are so many ways in which this life has felt completely untrustworthy. It's totally random, totally traumatic and scary. And yet, if that's the relationship that we have with life and with this beautiful holographic dream projection, organic simulation, then we can't actually be in creatorship, because creatorship requires a reparation of that relationship and a profound faith that allows us to be in a state of grace and serenity within surrender to the process. It's like, I mean, this kind of going to sound like a weird analogy possibly, but it's like baking cookies or like baking some kind of masterpiece, right? That you're really proud of. And you put it in the oven and you like watch it like a psycho through the oven door, because you think that if you don't watch it the whole time, that something is going to go wrong. And like, you can't trust, nobody does that. Like, my friend was just baking cookies with me yesterday, and we just would put them on the sheet, put them in the oven, and then like chat and totally forget about it. We're not at all thinking that something is going to go wrong with the cookies unless we are 100% focused on it and like journaling about it every day and meditating on it all the time. We have this like rigorous meditation practice, and we like all of that attempt to control things is just saying like, I don't trust that it's going to happen, so it can't happen. And then as we try to force things to happen, like with the Four of Cups and the desire to fill that space with something that is, it's like, maybe a better analogy would be like, you have a fruit tree and it's growing apples, and the apples are beautiful and they're delicious. And you, like a total psycho, you're watching the apples the whole time, and you're watching and you're watching and you're watching because you don't trust that it's going to ripen without you. You need to be there watching the apples ripen. And then the the temptation that is being expressed by both the Four of Cups. The Four of Cups is like the minor arcana um illustration of the Hanged Man energy. So it's like in the Four of Cups, the temptation would be to, and in the Hanged Man, to pluck the apple before it's ripe and take a bite, because you're afraid that if you don't do it now, it's never going to ripen, it's not going to fall off the branch, you're not going to get to have it. But the tragedy of it is that when you take a bite of the unripe fruit and it's sour and it's too hard and it's not juicy, you just robbed yourself of everything that it could have been if you had just surrendered to the damn process and just found a way to be in serenity and faith. And the thing is, you can't put that apple back on the tree. That apple is spoiled. It doesn't ever get to be what it could have been. So, as I'm talking through this, I'm realizing that really this year is going to be a training wheels year. Like the fact that we are currently in the process of mastering the energy of the Four of Cups, but we are moving into the new lesson of mastering the Hanged Man, means that this is our training wheels year for the bigger, more like what it kind of tells me is that the next, maybe next year, maybe the year after, like I can't quite, calendar years are all a fabrication anyway, so who knows. But at some point in the future, it's going to get realer, in the sense that we are really going to thank ourselves for having developed in the safe cocoon of the circumstances of this year in 2023. At some point in the future, we are going to be very thankful that we took the time to develop that ability to be in a state of serenity, counting our blessings, not indulging a sense of entitlement and a grabbiness and trying to control shit and trying to make things happen before they're actually ready to happen. Because when the Hanged Man energy comes in earnest, it's just starting to come in now. When it comes in earnest and it's at its full peak, we are going to be able to draw on that mastery of the Four of Cups energy to ride out whatever circumstances are, delivering that lesson home to us through the Hanged Man. I hope what I'm saying is making sense and I'm not losing anyone. Okay, so moving on. I'm going to try to move through these coming cards faster. So moving into the first quarter of the year, I always like to draw a card for the flavor of the quarter as well. And the card for the flavor of Q1, so January, February, March, is the Fool, which is the 0th card. It's card 0. I don't know if you can see that little 0 there. And it's also it's the first card of the whole entire tarot deck. And it's our second major arcana card. So this is a really big deal. Again, this is a big energy. And the Fool is the word fool. I don't know, in my opinion, it's not the best word, but what it's describing is like a naivety. When you are embarking on something new and you have no context for it yet because you haven't done it. And so the Fool is kind of like stepping off the cliff, not having any idea that gravity is a thing, or, like the Fool doesn't even, I don't do reversals for these readings. So, if I was doing reversals and the Fool was reversed, it would be like the fear of the unknown. But because I don't do them for these year ahead readings, the energy of the Fool is like just a naive excitement about a new adventure and really not having any idea of how it's going to go. And within that naive excitement, there are nerves, there is fear, there's kind of like a thought like, should I just not do this? Should I just stay? Like, what if I could just stay doing the thing that I already know how to do? Like, security starts looking pretty good. But ultimately, the Fool card is always talking about the decision to just go with it and go for it and go with that energy of starting something new. So I feel like now, if this is your first time listening to me, then you won't know this. But if you've been listening to me for a while, then you might have heard me talking about at some point, somewhere, podcast or energy reports or something. But I think I talked about it in the December energy report that it feels to me like we've completed boot camp. Like the last 3 years were boot camp. As real as it felt, we were still on home turf and we were still in training. And it feels to me like in December, we received our assignments. And that, this first quarter of the year is kind of like we are preparing to leave. So we're not shipping out yet. If you follow me with this analogy, we're not shipping out yet. That comes at the end of this quarter. But we are preparing, we're making preparations. We're like dotting all our I's, crossing all our T's, reading the fine print, packing our bags, having the conversations that we need to have with our loved ones or with people, like, letting go of resentments. It would be like literally, if you were preparing to ship out to be on a boots on the ground mission, you would be taking care of all that stuff so that you're not carrying it with you forward. It's not burdening you. And like if something, were to happen and you were to die or be incapacitated, which I'm not saying is going to happen to us, but just for the sake of this analogy, like we're right now in this quarter, we're taking care of the things that we need to take care of so that everything would be in order. And we're not leaving any loose threads or unfinished business behind us as we prepare to move into the next embodiment of our mission, which to me, like in this analogy, what I'm trying to say is like, we were just training. We were just training for the last 3 years and shit's about to get super real, starting this year, but ongoing. It's not going to be limited to this year. And that's really what the Fool card is representing to me, is that feeling of whoa, like we're about to go do this, and it's exciting and it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but we're doing it. We're here for this is why we incarnated. So the card for January is the 8 of Cups, which is really talking about, again, another Cups card, so this is emotional based stuff. It's about cutting our losses and moving forward. So the 8 of Cups, the guidance that comes through with this card is being willing to let go of whatever you've still been holding on to. Like the perfect analogy is like a relationship that you just need to break up. And it's going to be messy. It's not going to feel great. You just got to cut your losses and go. Like there's nothing left to hold on to. It's done. It's time to let it go. It doesn't mean literally that we have to let go of relationship, but it's just important to acknowledge that this is in the realm of emotions. So it's about cutting our losses, moving forward with whatever we need to do, basically letting go of the thing that we're trying to drag forward with us that is of the past, like a relationship, a job, a home, a friendship, an expectation, some kind of role, some way that we perceive ourselves, and like the way that we have formulated our identity. There's something that we just need to let go of and move forward with. And then the card for February is the Ace of Pentacles. So this is like the new seed that we're planting. It's literally a feeling of planting a new seed. In keeping with this overall energy of the Fool and this new journey, this new mission, it's like taking your new vision, your new dream, your new timeline, your new mission, and holding it in your hands and infusing it with all of your intentions, all of your prayers, um, all of your hopes and your desires, and then planting it, making it official. Like it's not just in the realm of daydreams anymore. It's like it's the pentacles is the suit of the physical. It's a physical thing. So you are taking an action to start it, to create it. You're planting the seed of this next adventure for yourself. And like very much like I was talking about with the Hanged Man, like not being a weirdo and standing staring at this like plot of soil day in and day out every single moment, thinking that the seed won't grow if you're not like watching it like a maniac. Like this is where that Four of Cups energy comes in, that like we're really having to learn to detach from this and not try and force things before they're ready, and not think that our micromanagement is necessary for the process to unfold. In fact, it's a hindrance. But the great news is that this seed that we all plant in February, it takes root very quickly and germinates very quickly and yields fruit very quickly, because the card for March is the Ten of Pentacles. So this is the full culmination of the seed that we planted just in February. So kind of like, it's challenging doing these readings because I also don't want to give anybody like weird, I don't want to speak certain expectations into somebody's mind that derails their own natural sense of flow through the energies of the year, whatever they end up being. But when I was first kind of processing this reading for myself before I started recording it, I was feeling like ultimately this path that we are stepping on in this adventure of the Fool is a very aligned path. It is, you could say it is ordained, it is blessed, it is decreed by God, so to speak. And as such, and that's for each of us individually to determine. I can't make any guarantees about what path you think you're supposed to be on. I do trust that if you're not supposed to be on that path, you will be redirected. But the way that it is coming through in this reading for the collective is like, we have been given our mission and we are starting it. And in order to start it, we're having to release the final emotional attachments that we have to whatever, because we can't, like, we just have to let the past be the past, let it all go, cut our losses and move forward. And then take this new dream, this new mission, and plant it. And like, this is the direction we're going. We've committed, we've claimed it. And then very quickly, it starts to like manifest for us. It starts to yield results. It starts to bear fruit, because this is the aligned fulfillment of the reason that we incarnated into a human experience, at this time in the whole story. So the first quarter is all of that is very exciting to me. I don't know how you feel about it. Second quarter is a little bit rockier. It's not terrible. It's a little bit rocky though. So the card that characterizes the flavor of the second quarter, my light just fell, is which is April, May, June, is the Nine of Swords. So the first thing I want to highlight is that this is a minor arcana card. So it's really actually not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, but the Nine of Swords never feels good when you're living through it, because what it represents is the realm of like our own self-created nightmare. The swords, the suit of the swords is about the mental realm, like cognition, thoughts, like our mental experience, mind-based experience as humans. And the Nine of Swords is almost the release, but it's like the darkest part. Um, I would say that it is the minor arcana version of the Dark Night of the Soul. It's like in the Ten of Swords, you finally get to the point of surrender where you just are like, like you just release it all because it's done. You like you can no longer beat a dead horse. The Nine of Swords is where you still think you can do something by beating a dead horse. Like you're still trapped in the nightmare of your own creation and you're desperately trying to like fix it. You have not yet realized that it's your nightmare, that you are in control. So that's not really a cool card to color an entire second quarter, but it is what it is. And what I think it's really talking about, the guidance that it's providing is like when we actually embark on this new mission, um, like through April, May, and June, there's going to be a learning curve. This new way of being. Like when I say a new mission, I don't mean that you are necessarily physically moving to a new location or deploying anywhere. Actually, I don't mean that you are necessarily starting a new job, or like it's going to play out differently for all of us. But it is ultimately the fulfillment of why we came here in the first place. And that all sounds like great and well and good and what we all want. However, there's going to be a learning curve in this new way of being in the world. And that as it all feels like very new and very unstable, the mind starts to trip out on like personally, I'm going through this right now, actually, where you think you want to backtrack to the past and the way it was before, where you're like, I'm really uncomfortable. And like, I don't know if I can do this. And you're kind of desperately, your mind is desperately searching for like, when's the last time I felt happy? Okay, I just need to go back to doing that. I need to like replicate that time, what I was doing then, so that I can feel better. When in fact, like, that's not even really actually an available option anymore anyway. That's just kind of what the mind does. Like when something feels new and uncomfortable, unfamiliar, the mind starts to freak the out and spin its wheels trying to find the solution. So the card for April is the Two of Swords. And I feel like this is actually the height of where we're really going to feel that discomfort. And the Two of Swords is like, make a decision. Like shit, get out the pot. That's what it's talking about. Make your decision. There are some nuances to the Two of Swords as well, though, which is that it's also the reconciliation of seemingly irreconcilable opposites. So basically, it is like it appears in the moment, like you have to choose: am I going left or am I going right? And you know, like the temptation is to stand there forever and be like, oh, I don't know, well, I need to gather all the data about what's in the direction of left and what's in the direction of right. Again, trying to micromanage everything, right? Not being in a space of trust. I need a pros and cons list about everything that's on the left and everything that's on the right. Like I have to make the right decision. I have to make the correct decision because it seems like it's two different decisions. And you do have to pick one door. You have to pick which way you're going. But the beautiful irony is that Both decisions lead to the same destination, but they will be different journeys, but they lead to the same destination. And so it's kind of like the Two of Swords is really like, make your decision. And either way, both paths are not only valid, but richly valuable. They are unique and they lead to the same destination. It is a both and an either or. So, whatever, make your decision. I remember when I was like practicing this reading, I think I had other things to say, but whatever, this is taking too long. If you're also with me, thank you. We're almost halfway through the year. Okay. So, then the card in May is the Page of Cups. So we're coming back to the cups. The page is technically a minor arcana card, but it's a court card. So the way I perceive the pages are like they're the baby novice level masters. Like they are not actually masters yet, but it's like being in your first year of university. You graduated high school. Like you're not a newborn. You got this figured out. But you're also new in university. So your first year. So that's kind of what the page energy is like. It's very playful. It's a little bit naive again. And the Page of Cups is talking about how once we make the decision has to be made and committed to on a mental level. Okay. So it's our mind that has to get on board, which is why I think the Nine of Swords is really talking about that nightmare of like we've planted that imagine in the first quarter, like, all right, we've got our mission, we're doing this, we're getting rid of a bunch of emotional baggage that we need to deal with, and we're planting this seed, and all of a sudden though this seed starts to yield fruit, and it's a little bit like, like, oh my god, am I actually doing this? Like there's no going back, like this is taking on a momentum of its own. It's kind of freaking me out. The Two of Swords is like, decide. Is it going back or not? Like to make a very literal example, it would be like deciding that you're open to having another baby. And so, you decide to like have the sex during your fertile window, and bam, right on the first shot, you're pregnant, and you're like, whoa, like this is real, like that, like, whoa, I didn't even have like a few months to try. I'm like, I'm pregnant now. Holy shit. And then your brain is like freaking out. And it's like all the things, and you're still thinking maybe there's a way to go back, maybe it's not too late. And the Two of Swords is like, you need to pick. All right, like it's too late, you're pregnant. Are you doing this or are you not? Ultimately, you don't worry, you will end up at the same destination, but those two like branches will be completely different journeys, but you need to pick. And at that point it's a mental thing. Like your mind is the part that needs to get on board. When we get to the Page of Cups in May, we've gotten through the mind part, and we are now experiencing it purely from our intuition and our psychic abilities. And so to me, this isn't really about like messy emotion. The Page of Cups is more like the mind had its moment, and now we're in the realm of intuitive. It could be intuitive wisdom, but it's just like an intuitive experience. It's like it's kind of like let's go back to the analogy of like, are you going left or are you going right? Like you have to make this decision and you don't have a map. You don't know. That's why you're so stressed out, because you don't have a map. You don't know how it's going to look. And the Page of Cups is like, well, you do have a map. It's an inner compass. You feel it in your heart. And now you have to learn to rely on that. That is stressful, but also very beautiful, like very, very beautiful, and very, very important, kind of like initiation for all of us. And then the card for June is the universe, which is a major arcana card, and it is the last major arcana card. So we opened up Q1 with the Fool, card 0, and we've ended the first half of the year with card 21, the universe. And what this is talking about is a like a huge completion of the cycle, like a huge. This is not like, oh, a certain chapter of my life is over. This is like a very big, very significant chapter or psych or saga, something like it's big. And it's in its final moments. It's in its final phase. It is closing down. So this is the first card where I'm gonna have to pause and remember what initially channeled through me as I was like pulling these cards before I pressed record. I feel like ultimately what this is offering for us is for some of us, and this is again where I'm like, I don't want to set up an expectation, but I believe that for some of us, it will be like a true glimpse beyond the veil. Intuitively, I feel like the the cycle that is ending is the cycle of enmeshment within the false matrix. Like in the universe, and as I say this though, I'm not implying that we're going to suddenly be like ascended masters or whatever. And I'm also not even certain that we will be able to maintain, like, I don't know for myself, speaking for me personally, I don't know that I will be able to maintain if I like profoundly see beyond the veil. Um, I don't know that I'll be able to maintain it, or if I will just remember that I saw beyond the veil after it fades. You know what I mean? But that's what came through to me as I, went into the Akashic field and was like, what is this about? And it's 222 here. So, I mean, obviously, that means it's extra true. Um, uh, that was it, is like almost like the completion of the very human portion of our experience, wherein we felt like only like I'm just a human. I don't know if that's making sense. Like I'll still be in a human body in June, but it seems as I tune into our collective Akash, it seems like there will be a completion of the identification with the human experience that is the vehicle for me to move through this time space, this this point in the story of life on earth. So I think Q2 is going to feel a little bit intense, but nothing we can't handle. Q3 goes back to feeling absolutely just beautiful. The card for the third quarter this is the flavor of the third quarter. So July, August, September is the Nine of Pentacles. And this is just a joyful card. This is like physically your physical manifestation, your physical reality is going to feel not like it's out of survival. Like Nine of Cards is not a survival card. It's like you've got your shit together. Like it's cozy, it's good, it's goodness, good stuff. You created something good and you feel grounded. I think most importantly, because a lot of the time people can think like, oh, great, it's going to be a great money month for me, or I'm going to have like, I'm going to have my first like 7-figure year, or whatever, something like that. And I think really what it's talking about is like our peace will be made after we go through that initiation of the universe, and we like are, you know, it's like the struggle against being human will be put to rest, because all of a sudden we'll have this new vantage point where we're like, whoa, whoa, like a new understanding of self that is not just simply a conceptual exercise, but is like an experienced and integrated knowing of ourselves, will then lead to a like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like you're eating things and you're like, whoa, the flavors, and you're looking at things, whoa. And you're like orgasming and you're like, whoa. And all the things about being a human is the realization of like, this is good shit. This is good. This is good. I love it. This is dope. Love this. Love this. Love taking care of this. Love being in this. Love moving through reality as this. I am a creator. Holy shit. And then the card for July is the Two of Wands, which is a very exciting card. The Wands is the sign of, it's like, it's the suit of fire. It's like creativity, passion, ideas, like just doing something. It's creation. It's the creation suit. And the Two of Wands is it's a sense of direction. It's like knowing what way to move forward. So where the Ace of Wands would be like the inspired, passionate idea, the Two of Wands is like, I got one stick, I got two sticks, I know what to do. I rub them together, create friction, a spark starts, and I've got fire. Like it's a great feeling of like, I know what to do. It can also be talking about the sexual and creative friction between two people. So it could be talking about like that awesome kind of like very activating sex that happens when like two people come together, and it's really like, it could be like pregnancy sex, like literally creates a new life, or it could be just like very activating, it doesn't have to be like soulmate life partnership sex. It can just be, yeah, two sticks rubbing together, creating friction, produces a spark, starts a fire. So it's followed by the Ace of Swords. So the Ace of Swords for the month of August is the energy around that, the guidance around that is, I think what it's going to play out as is this feeling of like, whoa, like eureka, like I get it. Like it's like realizing you're a creator. Okay. It's not realize, like last year I was thinking it's like realizing you're not really a human. No, that's not it. I was kind of wrong. I was getting it wrong. It's realizing that you're a human, and that is the shit. And like being a human is dope. It's so awesome. And what a human actually even is. And then moving into your creatorship where you're like, this is the best ever. And you're like, I know what to do. I can create things. And then in August, you're like, I can create things. And you just start getting all these ideas of like, it's, you really realize what you can create and what we can create together. What we can create together. It's so exciting. And then it's followed by the Eight of Pentacles, which is traditionally this card means like mastery at your craft, like your physical craft. So in the Smith Rider Waite deck, the quintessential tarot deck, like literally a guy who creates pentacles, and he's like working with his tool. It's like craftsmanship. And so to me, in the context of this whole year, it's like I'm a creator. And like, I want to hone this. It's like suddenly there's a new lease on life. It's so thrilling. Like, it's like being like, boom, and I create this, boom, and I create that. And like learning your own process, learning to finesse, and optimize the way that you work, like learning your own system, the learning what you can actually do. So exciting. I don't feel like there's anything more to say about the summer. Like just July, August, September is just going to feel so next level exciting. We're almost done, guys. Into the last quarter, it gets a little bit hard again. I'm not going to lie. So the card for Q4 is the Death card, which is a major arcana card, meaning that it is a very, very, very big and important theme in the long run. And I have no idea. I honestly, I think I veil myself from these things because I kind of don't want to know if this is talking about a literal, like death, like literally people dying. Um, I think I just don't want to know those particulars. So the way that I understand the death card is that, first of all, I love the art in it. It's very, very beautiful. It's very honoring of the grace and the surrender that we can experience when we allow ourselves to accept the reality of death in this realm. Whether it was originally created to be that way or not, that's where we are currently, that things die. And energy gets cycled into new forms over and over again. Um, I feel like it's probably going to be like an even deeper level of reckoning with death. And possibly it can be like as we become even more masterful creators, it might be that we need to really um, allow the death process to happen so that things get cleared out of the way. You know what I mean? So that like there does need to be an ebb and flow. There, as things are created, things need to die so that um, the balance is maintained. I can't really talk more on it than that. We'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. But nobody loves turning over the death card. And it's followed by probably my least favorite card, whole entire tarot deck, not gonna lie. Another major arcana card, which is the moon card. And the reason that this card is probably my least favorite is because this is the dark night of the soul. And so that's why I'm like, I'm a little bit, I don't really want to know what that death card represents. It might be so beautiful ultimately when we get there. There's no way of knowing until we live through it. But the moon card makes me think that it'll probably be hard, whatever it is, as it happens. The reason this is the dark night of the soul is because it's like literally the night. And being a major arcana card, it's a big theme. So while I was talking back in Q2 about the 9 of Swords being a mini dark night of the soul, this is like the real one where this will have lasting um, impact on all of us who experience it. We may experience it personally, we may experience it collectively. I have no idea. Maybe both. But the moon card is kind of like when you just got to go through it and you don't know when it's going to end. You don't know. You don't have a clock. All you have is the moon. And the moon, like you can kind of track it because the moon moves through the sky. But apart from that, like the moon doesn't even shed its own light. Like it could be a new moon when you're in your dark night of the soul and you don't have anything there. It could be like true blackness. It could be a full moon and you feel like, oh, at least there's some light. It could be like a crescent moon, and you have something to gaze at. But the point of it is that the energy of the moon card is like, we have no choice but to surrender to whatever process this is representing. No choice. It's like being in labor, like literally going to have a baby. You don't know when it's going to end, and nobody does. That's the truth. And you're in it, you're like, how much longer is this going to be? And nobody has the answer, because that stuff is veiled from us. We don't get to know. And that's part of the importance of the passage anyway, is that we, like, sometimes we just have to go through things and have no idea when it's going to end, no idea how it's going to end, no idea how it's going to. So I feel like October is going to be it's an initiation ultimately. A dark night of the soul is always an initiation, but I don't think it's going to be easy. But on the other side, I'm just going to present these two cards together because so the card for November is the King of Swords and the card for December is the Queen of Swords. I'll put them like that. So the King of Swords, I love this card. He is the mastery. He is the masculine mastery of the realm of the mind, psyche. And the Queen of Swords is the feminine mastery of the realm of the psyche. The King of Swords is usually, the way I relate to it, is an understanding of like the man or the masculine left dominant brain that has come into balance with the heart. So it is like the balance between logic and intuition, um, rationale and imagination. So it's like a balanced mental space that allows for heart coherence. Like both of those are equal, like given equal weight. They are equally honored. And the Queen of Swords she is like, she can cut through all bullshit, all bullshit. She sees it all. And ultimately, the way that I read all of these cards together is that whether it's a physical death or not, something is going to go down in the final quarter of the year. And it's going to be like, it could be a bunch of people dying, or it could be the death of an aspect of our system. Whatever it is, it's something is like literally going down, like something's going down, like something's going to happen, but also something's going down and is being cleared away. And it is going to be so destabilizing for all of us that it triggers a dark night of the soul. And it's very, very, very challenging to navigate. But ultimately, what happens is I think that this is truly our emancipation from the false matrix and any residual ways the programming affects us that we can't currently see or understand from the beginning of this year. So these two together, following each other, to me, what it says is like, we see it. There's no going back. We see with absolute clarity everything that's going on here. And we are able to cut through the bullshit, and we're also able to hold the line for others. It's a really like, I wish, like part of me is like, oh, I should draw the cards for next year because I want to know what I feel like I'm being left on a cliffhanger. Like, what is this leading into? I feel the ripeness of the energy of 2024. But as it stands right now, I have not drawn any cards, and I'll probably just wait it out through the whole year. But basically, it feels to me like a really big initiation in the end of the year. Very, very difficult, but it is going to drill us into or anneal us into the defenders that we are, the defenders of the truth, the like it's just going to remove the remaining scales from our or film from our eyes, from our physical eyes, from our third eye, from all the ways that we see and engage with this reality. Like we'll just be able to see it all and see through all of it, and as such we then can be in our sort of our something between warrior and defender, like we could be in that embodiment because we're able to see with such clarity. Okay, so I drew, where did I put it? One more card. I always do this. This is the last one. I promise I'll let you go. Sorry this took so long. It's like a final thoughts. Like what is the final like little bit of guidance that we need to get through this year? And it's the Three of Cups, which to me means that we need to come together as groups and we need to um, basically create, like build our telepathic networks, our heart-apathic networks, build our psychic connections with each other, and basically get to work in our creatorship, envisioning the future, and that none of us is meant to do this alone. We really are created to do this in groups. We're supposed to work in collectives to envision the future, the reality, the version of reality that um, is a reflection of the glory of God and all creation and all that we are, all that we have been meant to be. All this was designed to be, to envision that and to hold it and to build it, feed it. Like everything that I've been talking about this whole year in terms of our creatorship, none of this is so that we can just manifest selfishly, like whatever bullshit for ourselves. None of it is so that you make more money. None of it, like, I'm not trying to tell you you shouldn't make money, but I'm just saying, like, that's not the point of any of this. That's not the point. That is a distraction. It is a level that we need to get through because we've been so deprived for so long. So we need to like manifest certain things for ourselves kind of selfishly so that we can like satisfy, the little kid within us that was always told no. But that's not the place to stop and stay. From there, we need to be thinking up our fields, our telepathic and heartopathic fields, and contributing our energy toward the creation of a collective informed field that will then manifest into a reality. So find your group, find your little network of psychic souls. Don't do this alone. You are not an island. We all need to do this together. None of us is strong enough on our own to do this. Like that's just not, it's not how we're created. It's not the design. Okay, that's it for the 2023 year ahead tarot and Akashic reading. I apologize if this took so long. If you're still with me, I love you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Please remember to like this video if you liked it. Please comment if you have anything you want to say. Please share it with anybody that you think would resonate. And also, if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. That really helps me a lot. Thank you for being here. I love you so much.